Viewers and subscribers, welcome back to Beating the Press podcast. I am your host, Rafa. Now, coming up in today's podcast, we're going to be previewing the two big games coming up on the weekend. The EPL is back this weekend, and we have two mouth-watering fixtures to preview. Liverpool takes on Everton in the Merseyside derby, and then we have a big London matchup. Chelsea playing host to Arsenal. Now, joining me this evening to preview these two matches, we have returning to the platform, Christophe.
Good to be back.
We also have returning Leon.
I'm glad to be back, viewers and subscribers. I know it's been a while, but happy to be back.
Yes, indeed. And it's been a while since we've seen some EPL action as well, gents. The international break for the last 2 weeks. How did you occupy your time, Christophe?
Play some Apex Legends.
Yeah, well, it's good that the EPL is back this week, and we have two mouth-watering fixtures to really kick things off. But let's first take a look at that big one over there on Merseyside. Liverpool facing off with Everton. Leon, I'll come to you first on this one. How do you see both teams coming into this fixture?
I think for Liverpool has been in fantastic form since the season started. They have the one mishap against Tottenham, but we know how that match went. So I think Liverpool is in fine form. I think they have a little bit of injuries from the international break. I know that their left back is out injured, so I think Timikas is ready to start, and I think some of their South American players took a long flight to get back. So I heard some news about maybe some of them not starting. So we'd have to wait and see how Klopp will manage that rotation for this match. And for Everton, I think Everton had it rough a little bit. I think they got back Calvin Lewin, so that's a welcome addition to the Sean Dyche team. And I think you know how Sean Dyche plays his 4-4-2, and I think Calvin Lewin at the top is a big presence for him. And I think it will be an interesting matchup. We know that Everton will be in their 4-4-2, and it will be all up to Liverpool to break them down. So I think it'll be an interesting matchup.
Yes, definitely. This one should be a very interesting game indeed. And I mean, as you made mention, it's a big derby fixture. Definitely the fans are going to be up for this one. And usually in a derby, they say farm goes through the window. So while Liverpool, I mean, haven't won in two now, and Everton coming off a win in their last fixture, and I believe they have 3 wins in all competition in their last 3 or 4 games. So, I mean, Everton should enter this one in relatively confident form. Liverpool, of course, returning to home grounds where we know they have a fairly excellent record, especially, against Everton. So, while the odds, I think, should favor Liverpool for this one, it's not going to be a walk in the park, as you earlier alluded to that. Sean Dyche is really known for really setting up and giving teams a test. Since taking over at Everton, teams have found it hard to really roll Everton over. So I'm definitely anticipating a very exciting and competitive fixture. And we know the vulnerabilities of Liverpool, which they have shown in recent games, that they are a team that love to concede first and then try to fight their way back into the game. So that is exactly what I am expecting and anticipating in this fixture. And of course, we know Everton is always very good when it comes on to their set plays as well. So I'm anticipating a very tough game for Liverpool. But Christophe, welcome back. We are here talking Everton, Liverpool. How do you see both teams coming into this game?
Um, Everton, poor form. Coming off of a win. Coming off of a win, but the form has been poor this season. 5 losses, one draw, 2 wins. Liverpool in better form. Robbed against Tottenham.
Definitely.
Drew drew with Brighton. Um, but I do expect a Liverpool win. But with these derby matches, there is the potential for teams to kind of come back and win. everybody plays harder in a derby match. So there also is the potential of a draw. If there's a draw, I expect it to be like a 2-2 draw, but I'm expecting like a 3-1 win from Liverpool, Salah double.
Early prediction there out of the blocks there, Christophe. I mean, I'll definitely give Liverpool the edge on that one. But as I was saying to Leon, I don't believe it's going to be as straightforward as one may think. And Leon, you made mention of certain injuries and players may be coming either off injuries, would have played extra minutes in the international fixtures. But in terms of player selection and tactics, Leon, how do you see this one? Who are the key persons we should be looking for? And do you see any of the coaches really making any changes to their regular starting 11?
I mean, I think for Everton, no, mostly I think for Liverpool, that's where it becomes interesting because, as we said, some of their South American players came back really late, and we know that the journey from South America to Europe is a bit tedious. So I think for Liverpool, we know the obvious change would be that at that left back position because of the injury. I think you might see some changes in the midfield with probably McAllister resting. I think probably Curtis is in fine form. Maybe
Oh, well,
Endo in.
Curtis, remember Curtis is out still from that red card from the one he picked up versus Spurs.
That's the thing with international break.
So
Yeah.
Curtis is still out. He's pretty much ineligible for this fixture based on the red card. So as you mentioned, it should be a very interesting Liverpool midfield tree. But I mean, what you may find though, Leon, is that those South Americans may still get the start, but then the subs may come into play earlier than maybe per usual. So I mean, you mentioned the likes of McAllister, who had a run out for Argentina, and of course Darwin Núñez, who was assisting and scoring goals for Uruguay.
Yeah.
So those are two of the South Americans you may have been referring to. So, and of course, in the attack, Liverpool has Jota, who may come in for Darwin or vice versa. So, it's gonna be an interesting selection headache for Klopp.
Yeah, and Gakpo also. I think they should have enough. Whether those. Yeah,
Oh,
I
is it?
think they should have enough. I think, as you said, they're very stuck in the front line, and as Christophe said with Salah, with his prediction with Salah, with 2 goals, I think that would do any FPL managers a good set of points. So I think we should see. I will go for probably a 3-1 also. I think Liverpool might have too much for Everton at this one.
Yes, definitely. I mean, ah, I find that Everton and Sean Dyche normally has a good game plan. So personally, I am anticipating and expecting the usual heavy hitters not to have the sort of impact they usually have. In this one, I believe, Sean Dyche would have been plotting a tactic or a setup to really minimize the impact of the likes of a Salah, for example, Leon. Every manager knows that he is the go-to guy for Liverpool. So, I mean, managers should come with a plan to really minimize his impact, whether it is doubling up on him on the flanks or some formation change in terms of maybe the role specific players are given. But you would not want to know that the main threat is the man who is beating you, Leon, as a top manager.
Salah's role has changed in this new form Liverpool. I don't see him as the go-to player as he was a couple of seasons ago. I think he's mainly assisting. So I think his role in this Liverpool side has changed a lot. I think he has seen himself as the main guy, as we know. So I think he takes more on himself now and seems to like facilitate these new players, giving Darwin Núñez more alive, Shabazz like to do his thing, and even the number Luis Diaz. So
Right.
I think it should be interesting on how teams game plans around Salah because I think his role has changed very much in this Liverpool team.
But quick question for you, Leon. Quick question for you. Here we are talking about Salah, where everyone knows Salah is the man for Liverpool.
Right.
But is it a case where these players are so good that they cannot be stopped? Because we know, all right, take a look at Kane, for example, Haaland, Salah, Messi, Ronaldo. Uh, you could throw Mbappe in there, Vinicius, Jude Bellingham. Is it a case where these players just can't be stopped? Because going into these games, we know these are the guys who are going to score, who are going to assist, who are going to hurt you as the opposition team. So is it that they are so good that there's nothing opposition managers can do to stop them?
No, I think they can do something, Rafa. The thing is about these players, they only need this one chance. And these forwards for all 90 minutes. It's very rare. Even if you stop them for 89, on that 90 they will be there and majority and more than likely they will score. That's why they have made their name in this game. So I just think for those teams they have to be really on point and even paying attention to too much on Salah too much can give the other guys life. So it's just a game plan that these coaches struggle with day in, day out, every weekend to man mark a particular guy, but still have enough to contain these risks. So as you said, these players are just too good, you know. You can't deny them for 90 minutes. You can deny them for 86, 87, but normally they see their one chance and they take it.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, you do raise a good point there. But Christoph, we see Liverpool consistently conceding the first goal. Do you think it's in Everton to find that first goal in this fixture as well?
Um, let's see. Everton has scored 9 goals so far this season, so that's what, a goal a game.
Yeah,
Will they?
roughly.
Uh,
It is.
Sean Dyche is usually very good at setting up those set pieces. It could be that they get a goal from a set piece, but from open play, it looks very, very shaky for them.
Guys,
Ah,
in
yeah, Leon, go ahead.
saying, I mean, the set pieces plus Calvin Lewin makes sense. I think Garner has been finding some form, but as we said, they're hardly scoring, and I think the probability is probably more in their favor coming against Liverpool, in which Liverpool has been conceding these early goals. But
Exactly, exactly.
if if Liverpool concedes the early goal, it'll play right into Sean Dyche's hand, and I don't think you'll see much more football after then. It'll be much more physicality trying to stop the play as much. We know Sean Dyche's tactics, so Liverpool should be very aware, and I think Klopp knows how important this first goal is for them.
I agree that could happen, but one other thing is Liverpool and specifically Salah does not need a lot of chances to
That's
make a
true.
difference.
True.
Salah's finishing is excellent from anywhere. So he just wants a sniff of at goal. I mean, a loose ball, a counter attack. Um, Sean Dyche can try and start the play all he wants, but we have VAR, and those cards could come.
Naturally, for
Yeah,
sure,
I
for
mean,
sure.
definitely. I mean, Liverpool is definitely a hard team to play against at home, especially, but again, I can't fail to say this is a derby game, Leon. Stranger things have happened in derby games. And as Christoph alluded to, I mean, VAR is in play, and we see Liverpool in recent time have been, you could say, at the bitter end of some of these decisions. And that could also come into play as well. Right now, a player is one bad tackle away from a red card. And we know that can definitely change the complexion of any game, with any team, playing against 10 or playing with 10 versus 11 is really a significant blow to any team. And as mentioned, if Liverpool were to concede the first goal and then going down to 10 as they have in the past, it could be an uphill battle. So I am not personally going to write Everton off. I think it will be a fairly competitive fixture. In my estimation, I feel Liverpool will still win, but I think it will be a close 2-1 win for Liverpool. I believe both teams will score because, the Liverpool defense is very susceptible to allowing goals. Uh, Lots of their players were on international duty, Alisson, Van Dijk, Kanate, you know, uh, chances are the team may not have fully trained this week in preparation for this game. So all players may not necessarily be firing on all cylinders, and just those little areas of vulnerabilities, Everton could very well take advantage of and score a goal. As mentioned, it would not surprise me if the likes of a Tarkowski, for example, with some magnificent delivery from, let's say, a Matt Neal, find the back of the net from a corner or a set play. So for me, I believe Liverpool will take this one 2-1. But we move to the big one, taking place over there in London. Chelsea, playing host to Arsenal. Christophe, as the Arsenal fan, I'll come to you with this one first. How do you see both teams entering into this fixture?
Um, Chelsea have found themselves on the back of two good results recently. I think they'll have a boost from that. But Arsenal beat Man City, and that could be an even bigger boost for them, bigger confidence. Um, I expect it to be a very tightly fought match, especially because it's at Stamford Bridge, and Chelsea is getting in the groove and back into form. Um, I think it might depend on the lineup for Chelsea. I think Arteta will have a plan, barring no injuries, unexpected injuries. I would give Arsenal the edge.
Mm.
I don't see Chelsea winning. It it's a win for Arsenal or a draw. Don't see Chelsea
Okay.
winning.
Well, from off the bat, I mean, I would expect nothing less from one of the the very bold Arsenal fans. But Leon, from a more neutral point of view, how do you see both teams entering into this game? I mean, as mentioned, Chelsea has been on the rise, I would say. They've been climbing up the EPL table with a few good results. And Arsenal coming off what could be classified as a very good win versus Man City. They are now second in the table. Only Spurs sits above them in goal difference. But how do you see both teams coming into this game? This is another big derby fixture. London derby, so to speak.
Yeah, I think both teams on fine form, as you said. I think Arsenal, big mental booster there over there with their victory over Man City. Chelsea on the other hand, I think the results have not treated them well since the starting of this EPL. I think they were much better than the results were showing. I think their attackers are finally starting to score the chances they get. So I think that's a big boost for them. I think they should enter this match confident but very cautious because we know that this Arsenal team is very dangerous. They have a lot of experience from last year, and we know that this Chelsea team is new. They're still finding their gears, and it should be a major test for Chelsea and to see what this Pochettino team is all about. How can they go up against this big challenge in Arsenal, who is, as you said, fine form. Saka supposed to coming back from injury because I didn't think he played the game against Manchester City, and I just think it would be an interesting matchup for me.
Yeah, I agree with you to a large extent there, Leon. This should be a good acid test to really see where Chelsea is at in terms of their early form in the league, As you mentioned, a lot of new signings, still gelling, still finding their way. Pochettino still trying to implement his tactics and find his best 11. And it seemed to me as if he has found an 11 now that works. Cole Palmer was a new signing. He seemed to have locked in a position on the right side, Sterling on the left, and then Jackson up front. The midfield three seem to be settled now. Caicedo, Enzo, Gallagher, and of course the back line settled somewhat now, possibly due to injuries. A lot of players have been limited. Chilwell and James is now out, which may have been their first choice left and right back. But in have stepped the likes of Augusto, for example, and he has been doing quite well. And of course, the ever-present Silva. And in goal, you have Sanchez, their number one goalkeeper. So Pochettino seemed to have found and narrowed down from the abundance of players he has at his disposal, whether through injury or lack of availability. He seemed to have found an 11 which works and which have been getting a few good results in recent times. But Christoph, from an Arsenal point of view, what are the player selections we should be looking for? Are you anticipating any changes, or talk to us? How do you see the player selection for Arsenal, entering into this one?
So for the Arsenal selection, I think we can the back four will be unchanged. I think the only change that we are expecting to see is Saka will start on the right, since he did play for England over the international break. He scored 3 goals. Um, there might be a change in midfield. I suspect that we might see both Declan Rice and Partey. If not, there might be Kai Havertz, but those are the only two changes you can expect. Saka on the right and either Declan Rice Partey or Declan Rice Havertz.
Well, I mean, for Partey, Partey just suffered this humiliating loss, Ghana versus USA. USA running away 4-0 winners, and Partey had what could be only classified as a very poor game in that one, So I'm not sure if Partey is the right man to drop in that midfield as well. Yeah, Vieira might be a better option currently, with Partey probably still licking his wounds from that humiliating defeat to the USA.
I don't think Arteta will start Vieira because Vieira was bullied in in the Tottenham game. If you
Mm.
recall, he was withdrawn at halftime.
Physicality may have been an issue there.
Right. So I don't think he'll start. I believe Partey will start. I don't want to judge based on the international match. I mean, it's not just him, it's the whole team, right?
So you're pretty much looking at a more combative Arsenal midfield three then. The more physically imposing players, I would suspect Leon in terms of stature, maybe a Rice, a Partey, and an Odegaard, maybe the combination that he goes with,
I
just to
mean,
match the physicality of the Caicedo, for example, that obviously should start for Chelsea.
yeah, because for Chelsea, a Chelsea midfield consists of Caicedo, Enzo, and Gallagher. That's one thing that midfield has a lot of technical ability and a lot of running into it. So I think the midfield that Arsenal started against City was Odegaard, Jorginho, and who else? Odegaard, Jorginho,
And
and so
Rice,
I think
Rice. Mm.
right. So I think if everyone is fit, I would go with the midfield trio of Partey, Declan Rice, and Odegaard because we didn't get to really see it much because Partey got injured
Injured, right?
early on in the season. As Christophe said, I don't think the international break is much of I would say a deciding factor in this. I think if he doesn't start, I think it's Arteta not wanting to he wants to ease him back into it. I would say probably play a Jorginho and then depending on how the match goes, you enter Thomas Partey. But as you said, I think this game could be won and lost in the midfield, as you said. And I think even for Chelsea, Chelsea had that Broja coming back, that promising striker that was at Southampton. So as I said, it's a good matchup, and as you said, it's a real acid test for Pochettino and to see what this Chelsea side will come with. And I think Reece James is also back in training. I think this match will probably be too soon for him, especially the intensity of this match. But we'll probably see him probably for the last 10 minutes. I or probably not. So as I said,
Yeah,
it's probably
I'm actually hearing that he had another setback in training. To, to be honest with you, I heard he had a setback in training. So I would not bank on him even making the bench for this one, to be honest with you. He's an injury prone player, and you say, anytime he's coming back, he'll definitely be eased back into this kind of intense EPL physical action. So uh, I don't think he'll be a factor in this game, but this one is definitely boiling down to be a very interesting game. A couple of weeks ago, when you pinpointed this fixture, it would have been all Arsenal, but the recent form and the recent way that Chelsea has been playing makes one think twice. And of course, this one taking place at Stamford Bridge. And I'm sure the fans are definitely going to be up for this one as well. And they'll be hoping to put a dent into the Arsenal prospects of lifting an EPL title. But I mean, if you're as aspiring champions, this has to be a must-win game for Arsenal to really keep pace with those at the top of the league. I mean, this is the ninth game in the season, and we see the table now starting to really take shape. Arsenal is thereabouts, but in order to maintain their status up there at the top, they will definitely have to approach this one to get a win. So, Christoph, coming back to you on this, what do you think the Arsenal approach will be for this one from Arteta?
I think we can expect a very direct attacking approach from them. Um, I expect that they'll be looking to Martinelli to stretch the play, but majority of the attack will come down the right hand side between Odegaard, White, and Saka.
That has been the way they have been playing thus far this season.
Right. Mainly because Martinelli's form early in the season was kind of poor. He was still playing, but the form looked poor. He looked more impressive now. Um, but also because of the departure of Xhaka. So there is more reliance on Odegaard to control games and play make.
Oh, so you're definitely saying Arteta will be looking to take the game to Chelsea.
Yes.
But Leon, coming back to you on this one, what of the Chelsea approach? How do you think Pochettino, a top manager by all measures, will be looking to approach this game?
I think he'll take a cautious approach. I think even though Pochettino is a top manager, we have to remember that he's very young into his stint at Chelsea, and Chelsea is not playing exactly how he wants them to play. So I think any any manager right now facing this Arsenal side would take a cautious approach. Try to I guess control the play a bit, because we know that Arsenal types of play is very controlling. They like to get the ball. They like to pin the opposition back and try to exert as much pressure as possible. So I think Pochettino will play a very cautious approach, maybe trying to use the explosiveness of his forwards, because we know they have a lot of explosive forwards, and they can also rely on the technical ability of their midfield, because Enzo and Caicedo can really dictate play. So I think that's probably the style of play, and try to make something out of Arsenal wing backs per se. To try more wing play for Chelsea, I would say, while Arsenal will try to dominate the middle and try to take game to
Yeah,
Chelsea.
that's definitely an interesting perspective because I even saw a very explosive goal from Modric over the
For
international
for
break there
UK.
for Ukraine, to be honest. So it's quite interesting you made the point that Chelsea may very well concentrate their attacks along the flanks, while Arsenal will look to dominate the midfield and play somewhat more through the middle. So it will definitely be an interesting tactical matchup for both managers. I give great respect to, Pochettino, and while his stint at Chelsea is still young, that experience he would have gained from coaching in the EPL with Spurs, with Southampton, and playing big fixtures such as these should give him enough credibility to really come up with a game plan, which could very well, stifle the Arsenal approach. So this should be a very interesting and intense game, in my opinion. And as you mentioned, it may very well come down to who gets the better of each other in the midfield, and that may very well, of course, boil down to the personnel who may be on display as well. So it's gonna be very interesting to see how both teams approach the game as well. The approach may be different for either team. And of course, Chelsea is playing at home, so the fans will be looking to push them forward and not necessarily them sitting and playing on the counter. They too will want to possess the football, pass it around, and of course, Arsenal may very well come with their high pressing style as they did from time to time with Man City and as they have been doing throughout the season as well. So I think it will make for an interesting watch, Leon, in terms of, the two different styles and the two, different managers, so to speak. But Christoph, in terms of a scoreline, how do you see this one? You're still sticking to your guns with that early, did you say 3-1?
No, I didn't give a scoreline for this.
So,
3-1 for
yeah.
Liverpool.
Yeah, do you have a scoreline up your sleeve for this one? You call the Arsenal winner, if I believe.
Um, I think it will also be 3-1 to Arsenal.
Okay, so you're calling a 3-1 Arsenal win as well. I mean, Leon, what says you? How do you see this one playing out in terms of, a scoreline?
I see it as a very close fixture. I think it's more of a 2-1 for me. I think both teams will score, but I think Arsenal probably have a little bit too much for this Chelsea side. So I think it will be a very close encounter, and I think playing at Stamford Bridge will make it more of a competition. But I think Arsenal probably have too much this time with their win, their mental win over Man City. So I think I'm going to win 2-1 for Arsenal.
2-1. Yes, indeed. So both of you guys pretty much calling an Arsenal win. I mean, I am tempted to go the opposite direction, but my football
Okay.
instincts are really not allowing me to go that route. But what I would say is this one to me may very well peter down into a draw, Leon. Judging by how Arsenal face Man City and the sort of tactical approach they used, in my estimation, I believe this game against Chelsea will also be a very tactical one as well. To me, Arteta seemed to be, what should I say, overcoaching the team at this point in time. Is the word I'm looking for. I don't believe he's giving the players enough freedom to really go out there and express themselves football wise. The players are now being bogged down by tactics, is my opinion. And with the international break, and Pochettino may have had a little extra time to work with some peripheral players who may not have been playing international games. For example, a Gallagher, for example, a Thiago Silva, who is now retired from the international game. Sanchez in goal. He would have had that extra week or two to really instill his philosophy and training and tactical approach into these players. And I feel this one is going to boil down to a draw. I think this game is going to be a 1-1 draw. I just think both teams are going to be trying to outthink each other, or Arteta overthinking the game somewhat. Because to me, he got lucky versus City. To me, that game should have ended in a stalemate. But, not for
I
that
mean,
Martinelli deflected goal. So,
I
I
mean,
mean, this one to me, I'm going for a draw, Leon, to be honest.
I understand your point. More so for me with the City match, it doesn't. I think they got lucky, but I think it's a deserved luck, and Arsenal needed that win. I would say more than Man City needed. I think even though it was luck per se, I don't think that will be going through the players' mind. They will be thinking, finally, we got a win against this Man City team that's been stopping us all of last season. So I think it's more of the for me that Arsenal win against Man City, it wasn't about the quality. It was more so about that mental edge that it can give this Arsenal team to go beyond last year for me.
Yeah, that's definitely gonna be the perspective I would think from the players, but I guess just from the outside looking in, that's how I really saw it. But any final words? We are quickly running out of time, Christoph. Any final words for this weekend of action?
Um, no, I think the neutrals will enjoy the Man City versus Brighton game. I am actually going to predict a Brighton win.
Mm. Yeah, some controversial calls there, Christoph. Some very controversial calls. But Leon, final thoughts before we run out of time.
I think this is the Brighton game is the game that Rodri is coming back if I am correct. So I think this Man City team will be a different Man City team that we saw without him. And I think for the games, I think I enjoyed my mental rest with this Manchester United team. So I'm looking forward to a lot of stress. for for these matches. So I just enjoyed my break and I'm ready to go again.
Yeah,
Oh, you
definitely.
support United?
A real refreshing, the international break came at a good time, so to speak. It really gave you a chance to refresh, rejuvenate, and regalvanize your spirits. And this weekend has a lot of interesting fixtures coming up that could definitely define the top of the table. A mouthwatering matchup, as Christoph made mention, is that Brighton Man City game. But for me, that should be an easy win for Man City, in all honesty. I just
I don't
think
think
Man
so.
City has too much class for this Brighton team. And while Brighton has been scoring goals, they have been conceding a lot of goals. So, at this point, I think their play is a bit too open. They definitely have to work on that defensive unit and that defensive solidarity where they can still play good football, pass it around, but, at times squeeze out a 2-0 or a 1-0. And at this point, it's almost a case where they are now outscoring their opponent. So, that should be an easy win for City in my estimation. But definitely, it should be a good week of action or a good weekend of action, viewers and subscribers. I mean, I'd just like to thank you, viewers and subscribers, for tuning in to us here on Beating the Press podcast. Please remember to subscribe if you haven't done so as yet. And also remember to share, like, and leave a comment in the comment section. Christoph and Leon, let me thank you for coming on board again and sharing your thoughts and your perspectives. But until next time, this is Rafa signing off.